Why are we obsessed with watching rich people? Think about it. We have reality shows dedicated to documenting their every move. We have hit dramas about their fictional vacations and family dynamics. We have movie after movie where every character is super rich. And now with TikTok and Instagram in our pockets, we can watch every little moment of a rich person's life. Parts that we would have never witnessed until recently.
Plate my cat's breakfast with me. Sushi grade salmon sashimi, our tuna bone broth blend. We have some salmon roe caviar for seasoning.
Like, isn't it a good thing for our lives to know that that cat has caviar for breakfast every single day? Probably not, and yet we watch it. That video has 2.2 million likes alone. By the way, I did the math, and when you break down the ingredients, that breakfast would cost about $30 for one breakfast for a cat. If you haven't seen the creator behind that video, her name is Becca Bloom, real name Rebecca Ma, and she only started posting at the beginning of 2025, but in that short time, her audience has exploded to over 6 million followers across TikTok and Instagram, largely due to how visually stunning and extravagant her lifestyle is. Supposedly, she is the daughter of billionaires, or at least from a family with hundreds of millions of dollars, and a quick scroll through her content shows you that she is definitely living up that billionaire lifestyle, unboxing luxury hauls, showing what her private chef has cooked for her, going on expensive jewelry shopping sprees. All the while, millions are tuning in and cannot get enough. They revel in Becca Bloom's every pricey move. They fawn over the $50,000 bag she buys on a regular basis. The whole thing is a fascinating case study in social media virality, and more importantly, our collective obsession with idolizing the ultra wealthy. I mention her now and throughout this video because her content was kind of the tipping point for me to wanting to make this video, because I find it so interesting and also admittedly dystopian that we flock in the millions to watch a billionaire's kid drop someone's average annual salary on a morning of shopping. And not just that, but we love it. We want more. So that's why today I want to explore social media's worship of the ultra rich. What is it psychologically that makes us so drawn to watching the rich live it up while others financially suffer? Is there a right way to rich? And for each of us, how does consuming this genre of content impact our spending habits and financial attitudes? I want to talk about all that and more today, so stay tuned. And if you're new here, I'm Cara and I make videos on the intersection of money, media, and culture. If you like this video, you might like my recent video about the viral Erewhon obsession, or my other recent video about how AI influencers are taking over social media. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe, and if you want to support this channel, you can also become a patron on Patreon, link down below. And on the topic of the ultra wealthy, one thing that you're going to notice about them and what makes people like Becca Bloom so unique is that they tend to really value their privacy, not post about their private chefs or various mansions online. As author Amy Odell puts it, privacy is a luxury, and quote, as technology makes our lives less and less private, privacy will become a commodity. I've said this time and time again on this channel, but we honestly know way too much about each other. The internet has made it so easy to watch each other's lives and collect incredibly personal information about each other. It goes beyond voyeurism. As we'll talk about more, it can become a slippery slope into a toxic comparison trap. And it can just be straight up dangerous if that information gets into predatory people's hands. That last part is the main reason why I use a service like Delete Me, which is today's sponsor. Delete Me is a service that will remove your personal information off of search engines like Google. So you know when you Google yourself and oftentimes a ton of private information comes up? If you dig, you can find your current and past addresses, your phone number, your email, your relatives' names, and their information. This is because data brokers sell your information online, but Delete Me cleans all of that up. Their experts find and remove your personal information so that creeps and scammers cannot find it. I've been using Delete Me for years now, and it gives me such a peace of mind as a young woman online. It also makes for an amazing gift, especially for older relatives who might be more susceptible to falling for online scams. So if you also believe that privacy is a luxury and you would like to receive your very own privacy report, right now you can use my discount code Cara for 20% off. That's code Cara, C-A-R-A, at joindeleteme.com/Cara, which I will also link down below. Go check out Delete Me today to protect your data, and thank you so much to Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. All right, so diving into the psychology behind why people obsess over the ultra rich online. Part of it is pure voyeurism. We love peeking into strangers' lives, whether it's a college girl rushing Alabama sororities, a dad camping with his kids, or in Becca Bloom's case, someone spending absurd amounts of money day to day. It's flashy, and social media rewards flashiness. Like if you're scrolling and suddenly you see this huge glittery pieces of jewelry and then an immediate cut to a private chauffeur, good chance you're gonna stay and see what's happening. It is like catnip for our dopamine-loving brains, especially since we are innately curious about how the other side lives, because typically the ultra-rich lifestyles are not advertised. They are hidden away. Like we talked about earlier, privacy is valuable for that demographic. And so we wonder, is it anything like the shows and the movies we've watched growing up? Do you actually fly out on private jets and hire personal chefs? I think that's why we see popular accounts like Rich Kids of the Internet, an Instagram account dedicated to posting videos of rich kids living it up on their parents' money, flying private jets with their friends, transporting a whole boat into a pool for a party. I mean, come on, don't we feel like we've lost the plot on the purpose of money when we get to this point? Or when we start bejeweling our Lambos with Christmas lights for the holidays, because nothing says the holiday spirit like wasting money on a pointless driving hazard in a car that boasts speeds you can't even legally drive at. Okay, I'm getting a little worked up here, so I need to calm it down. But if I'm honest with you guys, I feel like I'm tiptoeing a really tricky line in this video, because on one hand, I don't want to tell people what to do with their money. I'm not a fan of internet people who make content only to bash on others and that's it. It just feels really empty. And like I'll talk about later in this video, I do think that every one of us needs to reflect on how we lean into excess at times rather than helping others, including by watching and encouraging these crazy kinds of flexing videos. But on the other hand, I struggle seeing videos about luxury car collections worth millions, or watching yet another luxury handbag haul or yet another private jet tour, when we know how those consumption habits harm the planet and how that money could positively impact others in need. So in case I'm coming off a little wishy-washy at any point in this video, that's basically what's going on in my head. But I digress, back to the psychology. It is not just that the visuals hook us, it is the aspirational lifestyle. In psychology, there's a concept known as upward social comparison. It's that instinct to measure ourselves up against people that we see as above us. Sometimes it's inspiring, and sometimes it just makes us feel inadequate. Wealth is one of those ways that we measure ourselves against others. And so when we watch the super rich, we can't help but think, what if that were me? What if I had that kind of money? What would I do? And when that rich person's spending matches how we'd spend money, we decide they're doing rich right. Whether we notice it or not, that is how we start identifying with them, maybe even seeing them as some kind of virtual friend. Side note, I want to revisit that phrase, doing rich right, in a little bit, because I have some hot takes there. But anyways, that identifying with the ultra wealthy on social media creates basically a parasocial relationship. This is the other psychology element at play. See, a parasocial relationship is one-sided. It is the same reason that people feel like Taylor Swift is a best friend rather than just a musician. I actually made a whole video about how parasocial relationships keep us poor, in case you want to go check that out after you watch this video. And the thing about parasocial relationships, again, as we see with Taylor Swift and her Swiftie army, is that it very easily turns into flat out worship. And worship is powerful. You can see it in Becca Bloom's comments, fans defending her even as she normalizes extreme overconsumption. Like this necklace, viewers estimated she had to spend over $2 million on Van Cleef jewelry in just 6 months to have access to it. Yet her comments read, "You are my favorite rich person." It feels off to me. Or take someone like Dan Bilzerian, who was one of the first ultra-rich content influencers I ever saw on the internet. His whole shtick was about constantly partying on jets and yachts and islands, forever surrounded by beautiful women and wealth. Is his content incredibly shallow and demeaning toward women? Absolutely. And did he have legions of fans wishing they could be him one day? Absolutely. What's even scarier to me is that this worship of the ultra rich is bleeding into children's content too. When I was growing up, our childhood shows were things like Mr. Rogers and Dragon Tales. Side note, my brother and I always like to think that Dragon Tales was about us when we were little, because look at that resemblance. But not to sound like a total old fart, the content that kids are getting these days is a little different. There are definitely incredible kid shows out there like Bluey and Miss Rachel, but we also have way more access to the internet nowadays. And the content that kids watch can use money as clickbait. It can feature creators showing off cars and closets and mansions. Just look at successful family vloggers and the amount of flexing that goes on in their videos, or top streamers who cater toward kids and yet often stream themselves gambling huge amounts of money. We feed them all with more views, many of those views coming from kids. It makes you wonder, what kind of messages are the younger generations absorbing every day they tune in? How is that going to shape what they think are normal amounts of spending, normal amounts of consumption, and status signaling?
40,000. 40,000. Who's gonna pay for it? Obviously.
This type of content is often called aspirational. But should we be aspiring to this? Look around and we so often are following trends set by the wealthy on social media. We are aspiring to live like them. Think about when Sofia Richie had her wedding and all people could talk about was that she's giving quiet luxury. People tried to figure out how to capture that same rich girl aesthetic, but through Temu and Shein options instead. Or like I talked about in my Erewhon video, you'll see viral celebrity endorsed smoothies like the Hailey Bieber smoothie that costs $20 per drink. I think our worship of the ultra rich comes largely from a place of wanting to be seen as adjacent to them. And now for my hot take about the whole they're doing rich right thing, which is something people say when they feel like someone has been living it up with money in the right way.
I love seeing rich people do rich correctly. I love seeing people sit in their wealth so comfortable. Becca Bloom, for example, when she comes on this app and she's like, oh, I love this laptop case so much, so I just had to go and buy a new laptop so that it would fit. Yes, ma'am.
Again, Becca Bloom is a great example of someone who receives this type of praise online. And while she does seem like an incredibly smart and kind person, I won't deny that at all, I just cannot get behind flaunting extreme consumption and luxury as doing rich right. I saw a great take by this creator who compared the doing rich right discourse and our obsession with the wealthy online as being like Mr. Ripley in the movie The Talented Mr. Ripley. In the movie, Tom Ripley is a poor kid living amongst extreme wealth for the summer. And the creator says that like Tom Ripley, voyeurs online mistake knowing about the wealthy as being part of the wealthy.
And these rich people who rich rate are exploiting their fans because they're giving them a false sense of belonging to this wealthy community. And people are so flattered. They love feeling like they're part of this wealthy community that they'll defend these rich people who rich rate to the hilt, even though the rich people who rich rate could not care less about them.
My hot take is basically that buying a great set of clothes, decorating your house a certain way, or treating your cat to caviar every morning is not how we should be defining doing rich right. If you want to talk about how to use your wealth, let's throw it back to the era of Andrew Carnegie, who was the pioneer for getting the ultra wealthy to give back. Carnegie, who was at the time the richest man in the world, believed that the rich were morally obligated to use their fortunes to help others. He literally wrote, quote, "He who dies rich dies disgraced." I didn't read everything he wrote, but I definitely don't think he said anything about those who die with custom private jets and a Rolex collection that will die with grace. I don't think so.
Oh, I'm gonna do no shoes on the plane and get custom skim slippers.
So I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where Andrew Carnegie lived, and let me tell you, it felt like everything was named after that guy. We had so many incredible public resources that he funded, from top-notch art and science museums, technical schools, and a great university. Even years after the steel mills closed down in Pittsburgh, I was able to have an incredible childhood full of well-funded institutions around me because of Carnegie's legacy. Same thing with other ultra-rich figures of the time, like J.D. Rockefeller, who helped fund multiple medical programs that led to vaccines for meningitis and yellow fever. I want to see us return to the script of the moral obligation that comes with being ultra-wealthy. Because we have lost the plot along the way, we are worshiping a version of wealth that is selfish and hollow and superficial and hyper-focused on the comparison trap, rather than a version of wealth that is a tool for the betterment of society. Or even a version of wealth where we see it as totally accepted and even embraced that the wealthiest pay equal taxes into a system that benefits all. And I'll extend my hot take even further, and might I say, even hotter take, and that is that we all need to be thinking of how to rewrite our scripts around moral obligation. Because if you are watching this video right now, you have access to the internet, and you're likely listening to me in English, both of which are enormous privileges. If you live in a country like the United States, then you are not only making more money than most other people in the world, but you're also likely making more waste in the world than most people on Earth. Your choices around how much junk you buy on Amazon plays an outsized role compared to most other people. Now, me saying this is not letting the ultra wealthy off the hook. I think that with more wealth comes more responsibility, but two things can be true at the same time. And so for all of us, I think it is worth being more critical of our spending habits and our media consumption habits. We need to reflect on the type of content that we are consuming and how it affects us. How worshiping the ultra rich on social media is just perpetuating a superficial, selfish culture. And it's also negatively impacting your attitude around money. It normalizes spending habits that are just not sustainable for your wallet or for the planet. And deep down, I think it goes as far as detaches us from what truly makes us happy. But what do you think? Have you noticed this growing worship of the ultra rich on social media? And if so, what do you think about it at all. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below and what topics you'd like to see me cover next. If you'd like to become a patron on Patreon, the link to do so is also down below. Be sure to subscribe to keep up with more videos, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.